Hey here, Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the Dungeons Swag team. We're back working on our Monster Manual series, and I was looking in the book, and these dudes are actually bald, and they are silver. So I don't know the best way to handle that. So we're going to just do our best and call it a win. Alright, so let's start with silver then, I guess. Here's a piece of cardboard that we were using glue on. You know what? I don't like using that. I like using tape. We're going to pretend we're painting a regular miniature with this guy. We're not going to probably paint him to that quality, but we're going to do that. So his skin is going to be some different shades of silver and black, I'm guessing. So let's flip this over. And let's make a little tone down with some metallic in it. And base coat this dude's flesh. So something like that. So even the recesses of his skin are going to be metallic in nature as we brighten him up and come down with the color. He is very bendy, as the first thing I'm noticing, but again, he's made out of a Dollar Tree pro wrestler. He is not a real miniature, and he's not meant to be a tabletop miniature. So as we come around here, let's get all his flesh, this metallic black. We're going to do his neck and his hair and everything too, because I think the end game for this dude is that we're going to do his hair as like a metallic blue. Then we're going to hit the back of his leg there, where that's showing. And just the front of his legs here, where they stick out a little bit. Okay? So there's our first step. If you get it on the sword, that's okay. So we're going to come back and paint that too. So his clothes, I think I want his clothes to be like a light blue, and his belt to be like a medium blue, and his leather piece here to be like golden, or blue with golden trim maybe. And we want to do his boots in gold too. I think that's going to be a nice look for him. So let's lighten this up a little bit and come back. We should probably hit this with the air gun, but let's hit it on low heat. Alright, +2 hot air gun, the burning on low heat, just to try to dry some of that metallic look we're giving him. Then we're going to come back and hit it around with some of this lighter silver. And we just want to get it on his flesh. And right now, like I said, if we get it on other spots, we're going to be painting all those other spots, so it's not a super big deal. Let's see if we can get a little bit more with just silver and no black in it now. Kind of hit that again. Cool. Alright, so we're going to need a lighter silver. So I have this, this is called Shining Silver. We're going to just kind of get that on our brush and wipe a good bit of that off. And we're going to come back and here we go. Then we're going to get that shining silver and a tad of really light blue. Something like that. I'm just going to touch some of this sticky uppy stuff. I think he has a beard. Maybe not. I don't know. Alright. So we're just going to hit his hands a little better. Something like that. I think that's the skin tone we're going to ultimately be aiming at, is his final product skin tone. There's a little bit of leg showing back here. We're going to hit that. Alright, so now let's get a smaller brush and start doing some of the work. I wanted to do his clothing in like a medium to light blue, something a little brighter. So this is called Crystal Blue. This is Army Painter. This is a nice color. What I want to do is I want to get this, get a little moisture in my brush, and then I want to undercoat this like kilt part, this skirt, and this. And we want to be careful that we don't mess any of the other work we've done up. But if it's areas we haven't done yet, it's okay if we get a little paint there. It won't kill us. Like on the wings, for example. We're going to be coming back and doing those last. Though we might do some base coats on those to start lightening them up sooner than later. Now that's not the end color for that. We're going to be lightening that up with another something. Was it the Crystal Blue we just used there? Yeah. Okay, that was Crystal Blue. I want to do his belt in something darker, so I'm going to use this deep blue. I'm going to get a piece of cloth and wipe my face off. I'm sweating. I'm going to take a drink of this glass bottle beverage I'm drinking here. Alright, something like that. Okay. And then I want to do something with his thing here, his sash. I think I'm just going to mix those two and make a medium blue. And I do want to do a gold trim around that. So we're just going to get in here. Blue and get in this little corner here so it doesn't look black and dark, and get some of that bluey mixed and just hit that tip a little better. There we go, something like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and, since we talked about it, let's bring those wings down a tone and start doing that with some white. This is Snow White or White by Apple Barrel, cheap craft paint. We could use miniature paint for this, but I think since we're just trying to lighten it and bring it down some, we'll be okay with this stuff. So, having a little bit of water in your brush will help your cause here, because you want the paint to be thin. And if we have to do it twice thin, it's better than doing it chunky once. Okay? Because these, even though these are from Five Below, these wings came in like a little, I don't know, like a fairy pack or something. That seems weird, like a 200-something pound dude who's spent most of his life in martial arts saying, yeah, I got this in a fairy pack. But no, man. Dude, I'll buy fairy packs every day. I'm not ashamed. Not a bit. The young lady that sold these to me, she's like, oh, you have a daughter? I just said, nope. And just kind of walked away. Yeah, that lady's like, oh my gosh, this fella's a special one. This feller is special. But some people like fairies. I like fairies. I mean, I'd be terrified of a fairy if I met one in real life, probably. Because they're like a fictitious creature that is, they're fae. They're not our friends. If you're playing your pixies and fairies and stuff as good guys, I mean, there might be the occasional good one, but I think the majority of them are like, hey, let's gank this dude's kids. Let's steal these people's children. Oh, look, now we have a kid. They're not good guys. Not in my worlds. Just make sure you get along those edges too. Make sure they're adequately painted. And we'll let that dry for a minute. Let's come back and put our white away over. We'll set it off to the side because we're going to be using that again. Let's take a look at how our Archon's going. Our Solar, not Archon, sorry. Our Solar's going. Alright, so he's got some bands on his wrists. And I think that they would be best suited in a gold. So let's get some gold and do those while we're standing here. A little bit of gold paint. Boop. I'm going to switch to a little bit of a smaller brush. And this is just the Army Painter starter brush, I think it's called. Starter brush. That's adding a nice contrast, I think. Kind of breaking up the monotony of that silver tone. Okay. Something like that. Then I'd like to kind of do around the edge of this here with that. I did buy a new camera mount. I just need to come down here and play with it and get it set up how. It doesn't clip like this one. This one has like a little thing where you can screw down and clip it pretty tightly. And the new one doesn't have that, okay? Alright, let's do the pommel of this sword in this gold. Let's do the hand guard. Is there anything else that needs to be gold? I think his boots do. But let's switch brushes for that. And let's not use this gold. Let's use this like bronze. And let's see what we can do. Hold on, I gotta wipe my face again. I'm sweating like a dog. Sweating like a cow at Texas Roadhouse. Oops, dropped my wiper shirt right on the dirty floor. Of course I did. Alright, so let's get this wider brush we were using earlier. Make sure there's no paint in that. Let's get this out of here. Spin this over here. So what I want to do is I want to hit this very carefully and kind of, I'm not doing for like a perfect coverage, okay? I'm just trying to hit most of the surface area. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that brush and come back to this one and finish off. Let me get it to this one. And then I'm just going to paint around a little more, fully hitting all the boots and everything with that. And then I'm just going to kind of drag that up and meld that into the not as attractive looking paint job part. I'm just going to drag that up too. Same thing on this side, just dragging the thicker paint that I got on my brush, on this brush, up to the areas that I didn't get as good coverage on the other one. That way we're not overdoing it and making it too uniform and perfect. We're not coming back doing a bunch of work on it later. We're just going to come back and hit it with something lighter one time after that dries. He's starting to look okay. So his blade of his sword is going. Hold on. We got to get this white part here. On his wing. So when we come back and do those, it'll be covered right. Alright, there we go. So let's look at that blade of that sword. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to get some of that white we had. Get a little bit of that white. And then I have like a white metallic over here. And again, I think this is just like a Walmart kind of deal. It's called Pearl White. I think it's full cart, so it might not be from Walmart. I'm not sure. So we're gonna get the white and that. We're gonna paint this blade. And I expect we'll have to come back for another coat of this too. I think what we're going to do on that sword might end up being awesome. Let's get that pearlescent and do these wings too. And you don't want to go too thick with this, okay? You don't want it to be chunky. You want coverage, but you want it to be smooth and nice. And if there's spots where you feel like it's just not white enough, or it's not covering it good, we're coming back over this with something in a minute, so you can get a little bit of that white paint and mix it in if you need like better coverage there, and it'll give it to you. All right. Now I'd like to make a blue silver for his hair, and I don't know what I want to do with his eyes. I'm looking in the book, and the eyes are kind of like just like this gross dim yellow. I don't feel like that's really good for this guy. So let's get this sword's looking pretty dry. Let's get some more of this white and pearlescent and do another coating of that. Make sure there's no dark showing through. Make sure his wings are pretty white. Let's come down to his base. Now, we could try to be fancy and act like this dude gives off light if we wanted to. But that's really not what I want. I want like my normal base that I feel comfortable with and I enjoy. So we're going to come down here and paint the base brown in the places where there's dirt. And then we have some little like rough cut-off areas. I'll burn those off in a second. Okay, then I'm just going to get a lighter brown, and I'm just going to touch in there with some of that, and it's still wet, and I'm not really worried about it too much. Just going to kind of push that around, so when it dries, it's a little bit different of a color, because the dirt's not all the same color, man. I think I've driven that point home enough if you've been watching. Now, I have never painted an angel this way. I have only ever done it with lots and lots of dry brushing. And I've never painted anything really with metal skin that was a humanoid either. So that's new as well. So there's going to be some new parts in here where we're all learning. I think you guys are starting to learn that I am terrible at this. And I'm just a guy in my basement. I'm not a professional. Nor am I qualified to be teaching anybody else how to do this. Alright, let's get the hot air gun. +2 hot air gun burning on low setting and try to dry up some of this work. Alright, so let's get these rocks on the ground gray. So I'm just hitting them with this pavement first. Okay. And we're going to hit that with the air again. We're just going to lighten that up a little bit. Okay. I'm super worried about his hair. But right now, I just want to kind of burn off any of this crap around the edges that I missed. That'll work. Let's do some black around that edge. I think we're about done here, right? We just got to do something with the wings, and we got to figure out what we're going to do about his hair and beard. If it is in fact a beard, I think we could take a vote on that, but it'll be too late by the time your vote counts. Okay. I think our wings are mostly white at this point. So let's come back and clean this brush out. Let's sort out this sword blade. So I don't know what colors you guys have and don't have. But I have somewhere in here glitter gold. So I'm going to get a little bit of this glitter gold. Squirt it there. I'm going to get a little bit of blue. This is that crystal blue we used earlier. And I'm going to make a glittery blue mixture for my blade. Sparkly and glittery. Ooh. And then I'm going to get that, a little bit of that pearlescent. Then I'm just going to kind of go over it again. All right. Now I'd really like to lighten up his clothing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a brush. Something kind of small and stiff. I'm going to get a lighter blue. And I'm going to get this deep blue that we used. No, not deep blue. Where's that blue I had? That crystal blue. And I'm going to make something to bring this cloth down a little bit in tone. So I'm just going to get a dab of that and a dab of that and make something kind of medium. I'm going to wipe a lot of that out, and then I'm going to drag that down here and just kind of lighten that up a little bit more. I'm just going to drag that down in here and show some variation on that fabric. I'm going to do the same thing and make it a little lighter. The brush isn't working. Throw that away. You're not my favorite brush. Okay, that and that. Make something a little lighter. Wipe a lot of that off. And I'm going to start dragging that down along there and lighten it up some more. Come around the back and hit some of that. Get back here on his butt cheek. Alright, so our angel's starting to look pretty angelic, I would say. Wash out that brush. Let's get a small brush and let's make some magic happen here. So what I got here is that shining silver that we used to do as highlights. And I got that blue. I got my small training or starter brush here. I'm going to get this blue and this metallic. And I'm going to paint his hair. I'm going to be careful and try not to get it everywhere. I might get a little bit of that more metallic mixed in there. I'm going to come back and just touch some of the spots to break it up. And then I'm going to touch his little goatee with it. Alright, we have wings. Wings and some flock, and then we're going to call it a day. So, let's get that brush cleaned out. Let's get this brush cleaned out while we're at it. Rolling, baby. Alright. So I do have white contrast paint. And I have never been super satisfied with how it works. But I think in this application, it might work out well. I think. I hope. So I'm going to get a brush. Get some of that white. And I'm going to do this a little thin. Okay? I'm not going to do it real thick. I'm going to do it a little thin. I'm going to drag it all over the wings. Make sure I catch the edges. come back and get some of those spots where I left it a little too thick. Let that dry for a minute. Alright guys, we need to flock the base here a little bit, but I think we have captured a good example of the Solar from the Dungeon Master's Guide. This is a little bit of a longer one for painting, and I apologize. But he was size large, and it wasn't a lot of dry brushing and craziness. And he looks silly and kooky and over the top. And in my campaign, that's exactly what he's going to be. He's going to be this dude that shows up and throws ridiculous plot hooks their way and may or may not be an ally. They can't really figure that out. You know, I'm going to play with him a little bit with him. So if you want to talk about how you run a Solar, I can grab the entry here in a minute, but let me get a cheap brush. And get some flock on this base. Okay. Now this is important here, that you're very careful, because our wings are not dry. Alright, let's take a look at him. He's a handsome guy. He's got the Abe Lincoln beard going on there. He's silver skinned, he's got some gold and bronze on him, he's got that blue sword. I would have liked to have taken the time to get some glue and make the fire, but I didn't, and that's okay too. So he looks pretty good, I think. Once those wings dry, I think that white might be the payoff on angel wings. That might be where it works. So he's going to get a clear coat. And I didn't do anything with his eyes. And I do need to do something with his eyes real quick. So let's get a very, very light blue. And a fractional brush. Fractional brushes just mean they're smaller than size 1. And they're very tiny. Let's just get in there and touch his eyes. And then, since that's a metallic, if you make a mistake, you can just kind of lick your brush off and wipe away any excess. Now, I would say he doesn't have any eyebrows. There he goes. Alright. Once our Solar is done drying, I will hit him with some clear coat. And I will take him upstairs and we'll put him on the table and see what he looks like. I think we did a good job, everybody. This is just a dollar store wrestler, so unlike our other projects, this one did cost $1. Everything else is just parts. The wings were not technically a part, but they'll work. Alright, well, thank you everybody for watching. Have a good day. I'm going to clear coat it, take it upstairs. We'll take a look at this and some of the other stuff we did today. I'll post some videos after I get some thumbnails, and I'll see you next time.